legislator, congressman. Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier. I was an adventurous man and a legend on the frontier. I was born in 1786 on beautiful land, which is now Tennessee. As a young boy, I joined hunting, the outdoors, and the life on the frontier. Happily getting married and having many children, they saw me prosper in politics and also saw our family settle in the open land. I was a common man. Losing my final election, I left politics because I desired a fresh start and a new adventure, so I boldly headed to Texas. During my lifetime, I had numerous expeditions as a pioneer, state legislator, and congressman. I was born on August 17, 1786, and grew up in Greene County, North Carolina, with my 8 older brothers and sisters. I was named after my grandfather, who was killed by the Creek Indian warriors. When I was 10 years old, I hunted small game for the guests that attended my family's cabin for dinner. Diligently working at the young age of 12, I received payment as a cattle driver. At the age of 13, my father decided that I should attend school because I needed to receive an education. I attended school for a couple of days, but I didn't really enjoy it. There had been an older boy bullying me, so at the end of one school day, I hid behind a tree to ambush him. After the fight, I realized that if my father found out what I had done, I would get whipped. My father found out. I quickly ran away, avoiding punishment. I ran from home to Virginia to work for another cattle driver, plowing and harvesting crops. I didn't return home for over 2 years, hoping that my raged father would have forgotten about my school fight. Realizing that I would need to know how to read, I decided to go back to school. After 6 months of school, I was considered literate. I now knew how to read, write, and spell. Experiencing countless adventures from birth to the young age of 17, I was familiar with the woods and frontier. Hunting stories were among my favorite things to talk about. When I was a young boy, I borrowed a farmer's rifle and found out that I had an amazingly accurate shot. I won shooting matches, which were a popular sport on the frontier. People traveled miles to watch me. During a 6-month time frame, I shot 105 bears. I used a special rifle, which I named Betsy. My friend and I also went hunting with our dogs. The dogs treat a bear. I shot once, the bear dropped. However, I didn't know that the bear wasn't dead. Ferociously, the bear charged at me and ran into a hole. I followed him into a hole with only an axe and a knife. I slaughtered that massive bear, which I estimated to be well over 600 pounds. I'm famous for saying, be sure you're right, then go ahead. This is how I live my life. Hunting skills and tracking animals provided my struggling family with stories, meat, clothes, and oil. On August 16, 1806, I married Polly Finley and convinced her to move to southern Tennessee. Living in a log cabin on a small farm, we settled down and had 3 kids. From 1813 to 1814, I volunteered to fight with the Tennessee Volunteer Mountain Riflemen against the Creek Indian warriors, who were threatened by pioneers pushing west and overtaking their land. 2 weeks after I returned home, Polly became terribly sick and sadly died. I remarried a widow named Elizabeth Patton. We had 4 kids together. In 1817, I was elected Justice of the Peace. In 1821 and 1823, I was elected state legislator. I was then elected to Congress of the United States in 1827, 1829, and 1833 because the people believed that I spoke for the common folks. After bitterly losing the election in 1835, I left politics. I decided to travel south to Texas and look for land to settle. While there, I became involved with the Texas struggle for independence from Mexico. I fought with the Texans to defend the Alamo. Unfortunately, the Mexicans outnumbered the Texans. Battling at the Alamo, I fought fiercely, but sadly I passed away on March 6, 1836 in San Antonio, Texas. I helped others and fought for what I believed in. I was a courageous frontiersman, pioneer, congressman, and soldier. I had an adventurous spirit. Since I allowed the adventure to guide me from the woods of Tennessee to state and national politics and fighting for my freedom to my death, I'm considered as an American legend and a genuine frontiersman.